Enti last weekend no na the 27th Coronation of Asante Kingdom Otumfuo Osei Tutu II. Now coronation here course we and some nkrofo bisa baako pa de say adenti na President Mahama wan kwase. This has been the topical issue. It's say we coronation now. Everybody that matters in this Ghana, modern Ghana, the Obasi, except Otumfuo, IGP by Chief of the Deputy Chief of Staff and Oman by and Ohe Munsua, Supreme Court, Chief on friends say, Supreme Court judges. Ye, me refi. Saba papa no so buy. Or no so buy. It will be added any more young better a tree. But who a year President Mahama dear. Why maybe President Akufo-Addo buy. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia buy. And so President Mahama. Ama. And nothing grow for Busa questions say dainty and a President Mahama Amba. So a case in India, to be frank, it was very, very unique. Me say Crawford omuya arrangement was my Isiano. Yeah, the Ghana so much. Omubeti me arrange Ghana de amaye. In fact, said the orderliness, classy. Ushen to Triana. Make me try enye easy kura. Bibia da na kwemu we. The only thing I ever can say at marks no, the absence of President Mahama. Ebia bebusa say adenti and nkrofo ye interested in President Mahama wa mani musa. Me say uhunu say musie fi baabi ba na say jawo ho. Over the weekend no obeka ya nana Otumfuo Osei Tutu e ba betu dwa say NDC for any need di agro abrewa kotoma me hwe to agro bia. Nukremu ni ono nani nje ho ba ko say. Insem bi wo ho a wono aka court aka but yet NDC for edinanimu tutu for ma obubo nkrofo bi din interior minister or minister of chieftaincy Bruno regional minister any one mo ekeka ho na nu po na wo be kai am di video ni buy me ka kire wo say Otumfuo di na obubo ye no de enu anu perfect but wuja baako sa nkrofo ya obubo omu di nyina no why no omu gi omu tumi di free no omu obi respond to command enti na ogoro na nkasa wa amoni din enti me kra me kan sa nanu ne nkrofo bi adwe ye omo se de enti a ekoba asa no ene se asem no em se eye President Mahama ha no why you offended enu enti no no so amba but before then no na ya adwe mpo ye ense bia President Mahama oni Ghana enu enti na wa amba nanso so ye hwe ya ye be hu anse video bi pop up ye ko hwe video no na che se President Mahama wo Ghana a wo auto aburo wo kwa ho ye ko hwe se video. And now you're ruling out video no you're ruling out the idea that President Mahama is not in Ghana no and a year to ago. And to me, Master President Mahama ama Otumfuo di na because of say no ni Ghana now Ghana hapa. Still the question is adding na President Mahama wama. Nientia President Mahama ama no me ba be ka kire o. Now Sir President Mahama kra ama di na no say that was 20 feet. 26 and a grand deba. Otumfuo betene dwem adi ade toche. Ama all the dignitaries na ba besa la achi ane mako. Enti na expect say President Mahama so we to be ama dina na se a said etie bia obeba we no ase. Unfortunately, and also so President Mahama ama ase. Enti the question was still na President Mahama ama ase. And obi kura ka say ebetumi aba say ade che ye no ebia Sunday no kra no ni Ghana and am say moboa President Mahama o Ghana mi hu no wo Pentecost church na oni Julius Zebra nam ho enti wuntumi nka nche me say President Mahama ama ase enti that idea no was also out say oni Ghana still President Mahama o Ghana but the thing is President Mahama mpo a na me hwe ni mu say ordinance nsem no besma high delegation power Ebia Minister of Interior, Minister of Defense, Minister of Ebiama wabe representing, and then Chief of Staff, Amana be representing. President Mahama yako ya Asante Regional Minister, any MC for and wa gada wa mo se monko na monfa manu di se monko to Otumfuo ani. Enka asem bi ani ho fair now. But me na me susu say President Mahama, Asante Regional Minister there, on MCs in there, so many Otumfuo na te Kumasi order do. Is na me expect say nka odi obi a ofi top over so na minim say President Mahama what dey make na say na nka ayefe. But ye hunu ne sa. But afei na me di ne enti a President Mahama ama no ebeto wenim. Ye enti a wa ama ne say on that very day Sunday no There's a President Mahama. The chief of staff, I a friend, will say, Julius Debra, now would be birthday. Eti asem na be mienu. Otumfuo celebrated the 27th coronation since or ascended the throne. And the chief of staff also did the birthday. It was a dilemma for President Mahama. Since the unfa de uncle the chief of staff ne de no, and now say uncle Otumfuo de no. Eti o yes say no. Now was say call the chief of staff ne de. And until the man okoye and was man the delegation say mumra may represent me. E wo Otumfuo de na say. It is so far no more kasa say adentina President Mahama adentina President Mahama no. And yes, one Otumfuo beef bia mumu mu bomb too much. Oni ni beef bia. Ni enti awa men nyina ne say na wa ye busy. Yem father say na wa ye busy. Na munya say ensem bia na mu twi mu tan no. Eno enti na wa ma. Ndi President Mahama minim say de ma kan say na tie. Menye so say agenda fufuru bia ho. Say agenda fufuru bia ho so a wa wo de se la kuta. E ya no abo mama ne na bibia aye fa. Aha ye Infoeye. O number 1 super duper o scale la kuta na me di breakdown no.